Are you a registered nurse with an associate degree in nursing considering whether to pursue a Bachelor of Science in Nursing? Or perhaps you don't have either and are wondering if you should get your ADN or BSN. Either way, in this video, I'll discuss the key differences between these two nursing degrees and present 5 compelling reasons why obtaining your BSN could be a smarter career move even if you already hold an ADN. Let's first take a step back and discuss the key differences between a BSN and an ADN. ADN stands for Associate Degree in Nursing, which is typically obtained from a 2-year junior college. On the other hand, a BSN stands for Bachelor of Science in Nursing and is typically received at a 4-year university. Both degrees from accredited programs will let you sit for the NCLEX RN, which is the licensure you need to work as a registered nurse. This means that if your goal is to become an RN, both degrees can get you there. But, and this is a big but, there are situations where obtaining your BSN would be more beneficial than having your ADN. This applies even if you already possess your ADN and have been working for years as a registered nurse. But listen, this will all make sense shortly, but let's begin with the first reason why you might want to consider getting your BSN. As a side note, these reasons are not listed in any particular order of importance. The first reason to consider obtaining your BSN is if you plan to pursue a master's or doctorate in nursing. Whether you are interested in the education track, leadership track, or clinical track to become an APRN such as a CRNA or NP, you will need your BSN to advance. This is simply how the progression of educational degrees work. You start with an associate's degree, then earn a bachelor's, followed by a master's, and finally the doctorate or PhD. While there are some ADN to MSN nursing programs available, most that I've seen will require you to already have your bachelor's degree before applying to that master's program. As a side note, to find nursing programs, you can search at nursemoneytalk.com/schools. Another reason to get your BSN is if you're in an area or work for a company that will pay you more for having a BSN. Contrary to what some might say, there are instances where having a BSN and not just your ADN will get you a higher salary. For example, the last organization I worked for would pay more to a candidate with a BSN compared to one with an ADN, assuming all else was equal. Another organization I worked for offered a one-time bonus for obtaining a BSN. While this may not be the case for all employers, it's becoming more common for organizations to differentiate pay based on educational qualifications. The third reason to consider getting your BSN is if you're in an area where you'll be less competitive without one. Certain states, specialties, and companies prefer nurses with a BSN. Some places are even beginning to require it. I'm thinking specifically about New York, for instance. However, even if you're in a location that doesn't restrict ADN practice, you need to check if you are in a place where you're at a disadvantage compared to someone with a BSN. The fourth point is kind of related to the last one, but is more about the better career advancement opportunities that come with a BSN. For example, some companies prefer BSN prepared nurses for leadership roles instead of those with just an associate degree. Another example is in the education field, nurses with PhDs or doctorates are often chosen over those with only a master's degree or lower qualifications. When I talk to people I know in nursing education who don't have the necessary degree, they often notice that they get passed over for jobs in favor of candidates with higher degrees. Lastly, even if you don't fall into any of the categories I just mentioned, it might be worth considering getting your BSN if you have many working years ahead of you. If you're in your 20s, 30s, or even 40s, there's a strong push to make the BSN the minimum entry point for RNs. And while I'm not necessarily convinced that all regulatory bodies will come to a consensus anytime soon, I can see a scenario, and this is already happening in a small scale, where more and more institutions and states may start mandating or making it difficult for non BSN nurses. Therefore, the longer your career, the more likely you'll be affected by any of these changes, making it a good idea to consider getting your BSN. With all that said, I want to clarify that I'm not trying to argue that the BSN is necessarily better than the ADN. There are articles and papers that discuss the benefits of obtaining a BSN over an ADN, but that's not my focus here. If you're interested, I'll include the links to those articles in the descriptions below, or you can just look them up yourself. My main point is that if you have decades of nursing ahead of you, you may find yourself becoming uncompetitive at some point if you only have your ADN and not your BSN. As you've seen in my previous videos, my priority is ensuring that you have as many options as possible and can maximize the value of the degrees you've worked so hard for. That's why I'm advocating so strongly, if you will, for the BSN in this video. So if you are interested in exploring nursing programs, whether it's a BSN or ADN, be sure to check out nursemoneytalk.com/schools to find programs that meet your needs. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you very soon in that next video.